Welcome back to Doing Bar Things, and in this episode, Intel CEO leaves with a bag of cash. We talk about CPU prices for a second, and we're going to look at the Intel Sparkle B580s or whatever it is. So I had a couple of observations there. This should be a quick video. First off, Pat Gelsinger leaves Intel. I mean, you can see that I have a decidedly low rent production that I've run here. This is me making videos when I got time between work, children, eating, sleeping. You know the drill. Um, I mean, they paid this guy 12 million bucks to go away. Like, it boggles my mind how, heads of companies can basically maybe not do so well, not be liked, and then just take their money and run, when the going gets tough. Although this may have been forced. They may have been like, look, you're not helping us, just take your money and kind of go away. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever know all the politics behind it. I think it was, his name's, I want to say Jim Keller, if memory serves. The guy he was behind a lot of stuff. I want to say Athlon, Ryzen, hell, maybe even the original Core, like your Sandy Bridge CPUs, which were freaking amazing at the time. He might have been, I think he was behind some of that stuff. He'd come back to Intel if he was behind Sandy. I can't remember. Honestly, guys, I'm not trying to be incorrect here, but I know that he was a part of several different architectures for CPUs. He came to Intel to design some future architectures, which sounded amazing. Like they had some plans. Yeah, things always sound like great, when they're planning them, and then it gets. I mean, it's a story as old as time, right? We plan it, it sounds amazing, it looks great on paper, and then when you actually get to it, it's like, well, we didn't realize there's going to be this, that, the other, going on with it. But he had some things there that they're working on that sounded really exciting, like rentable cores, which would basically be, if anybody knows what hyperthreading is basically, one core can address multiple threads, right? Hyperthreading is never, typically, is not going to be as good as having an individual core basically dedicated to one thread. But when you have multiple threads of data, and in those threads you have breaks, right, where something is waiting on something else, so the CPU can quickly turn around and do something else and then keep going. It makes your pipeline efficient because your processor can basically reduce its downtime. It can do more, tasks. AMD is still using what's called SMT, which is simultaneous multi-threading. It's the same thing as hyperthreading. It's just AMD's version of it. It's the same thing, same idea. It's multiple branches going into one core basically. I believe that's the right terminology. Anyway, what this was going to do is essentially allow the core to rent parts of itself out. So basically what it could do is you have a core that if your application really likes high performance from a single core and frequency, then that's what the microarchitecture in the chip would present itself as, and it would run it accordingly. But rather than just hyperthreading as we know it today, which is multiple threads going into one core, this would have actually gone, oh, well, no, now we're going to treat that one core like it's multiple cores, not just hyperthread it like, it's a core and then a logical core, but it will actually associate hardware and basically like split itself. And it was crazy. It's like, this is a transformer CPU. It was a pretty interesting concept. It doesn't look like that's going to make it necessarily. Maybe some products will find their way, provided that Intel continues being Intel, As I understand it, that guy left the company. The guy who's basically masterminding that, who's masterminded a lot of really hit processors, including, pretty sure he was one of the guys behind Ryzen. for AMD, which is massive now. He got booted out because the office politics were just a little bit too much, as word on the street says. People were getting in his business, trying to take credit for things that he was working on. And he's like, I got better things to do. Which, I mean, I cannot... I would not believe you if that dude has to be loaded. I bet if you did a look up, like, what's his net worth, I bet he is net worth a lot, because he's done some pretty crazy things, and people will, I mean, have paid and will pay a lot of money to get his expertise. So, I'm sure he's not cheap, I'll say. And so when he left the company, I was like, well, here we go. That's not a good sign. And then, Arrow Lake doesn't do especially well. There's rumors of office politics and just morale itself not doing well. And now Pat Gelsinger leaves. Intel's just having a hard time. I don't want them to have too hard of a time. I really want them to stay in the chip making business. I want them to make CPUs, and I would love for them to continue to make video cards. But ultimately, can they be competitive? Performance-wise, they absolutely can, right? They absolutely can. Intel basically ruled the roost for years, before AMD came along for a while there and kind of got the lead. But Intel was really good in the server market, and they continued to hold that, and then got really big in the consumer market. Your core architecture came out to replace the what was it? Pentium. Yeah. Anyway, they've had a lot of success over the years, and there was some mind share there that they could still get and look at things and propel themselves to greatness. But I just don't know if it's in the cards. They probably, if they've not already, which rumor mill is that maybe they have, but they'll probably have to stop making GPUs at some point for now in order to bolster their CPU business to try and rescue the company. Like, that's kind of the... But what we don't know is, have they gotten too far? Is it too far? Is it starting to spiral down the tubes too far? What's the deal, right? It's kind of the thing we don't know. Anyway, I mean, $12 million more bucks out the door to pay this guy, on his way out. So I hope he enjoys his retirement. And if somebody wants to give me $12 million bucks, I'll retire too, and I'll spend my time making videos full time. You know what? I'll give you a deal. You don't even have to give me $12 million. Give me like $1.5 million, and we're good. We're good. Maybe even $1 million. Like, we can negotiate this somewhere between there. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, oh man, it's just crazy. It's just crazy that CEOs make these kind of deals. Anyway, all right, moving on. Speaking a lot of money, I was looking at PC Part Picker, mulling over ideas like what I want to make a video about. I was thinking maybe doing a part list, video. Holy cow! On PC Part Picker, the 7800 XRD is $648, and the 9800 XRD is $833. Do not pay these prices, guys. Do not pay them. It's not worth it. Not worth it at all. If I was building, and this is my only option, was to buy one of these two, I would not buy them. I would go to hell with you, and I would buy, I mean, what is it? Where is it? 7950 X3D is $700. Like, no, I'd buy. I'd even go. I'd go Intel. I'd get a 9950X before I would do that. If you want to save some money, like the 7700X isn't horrible. Anything, I would almost take anything over that. These are 8-core CPUs, okay? The 7800 X3D, its original retail price was $449 if memory serves. The 9800 X3D, its original retail price, we just found that out like a while back when it got released, is $479. Okay? No way in hell I would pay more than that. Period. Not going to do it. I'll buy another CPU. The extra 15, 20%, you have to, okay. So when they throw those percentages out there, okay? When they throw those percentages out there, don't forget, okay? If something is 10% faster, that means if you're, say, playing a game at 50 frames per second and you buy this CPU, on average, you're going to get 5 more frames per second if it's 10%, okay? 5 frames per second is not worth that much money, period. It's not. Any game that you're trying to play at a super high frame rate, that the actual frames per second are going to be this crazy difference, you can buy another CPU and you're getting plenty of frames per second. What I mean by that is, like if you're playing it, let's say you're playing, I don't know, what are the games they test with now? Like Call of Duty at 1080p. Any game that's already running like at 500 frames per second, I mean, what is 10% of that? 50 frames per second? I mean, let's call it 100 frames per second more for triple the price. Like, it's not worth it, right? It's just not worth it. In any game that you're going to crush with that CPU, any other modern CPU is going to crush, pretty much, okay? If it's priced appropriately against other options, it is worth considering, for sure. But don't get caught up in, well, that everybody says this is the best thing out there, and so I've got to have the best thing out there. These are scalpers, okay, is what this is. These are scalpers. They're trying to rip you off, all right? Don't do this. I mean, if I go to just Micro Center right now, processors, right? Like, they're probably sold out of the XRD chips, which is probably why this is so expensive like this. Don't fall for that. Then don't just get a 3D chip. It's pretty simple. I thought I saw a 3D chip in here that was one of the new series, but maybe I did not. 5700 XRD. That goes in the AM4, right? Am I missing something? Oh, maybe this is just the deals. Stand by. All right, all AMD CPUs. Yeah, here we go. Okay, 7800 XRD. They got tons of them in stock. $439, right? This is still on the high side for what they were. They were like 360, 370, something along those lines. Is kind of where I got mine, I believe. I would not pay this, or not this, but I would not even, like, this is just, they're trying to rip you guys off. You know, don't fall for it. If you have to build today, go get any AM5 chip, right, that is near or at its MSRP or below. Should be below. In the case of a lot of these. 9700X. I mean, 7700X. Yeah, man, go do it. If you're after an 8-core gaming CPU, don't do that. Don't do that. It's not worth it. I'm promising you, it's not worth it. The 9700X actually is kind of an overclocker. If you know what you're doing, look up Scatterbencher, I think. But there's a lot of videos about people overclocking their 9700Xs pretty high. I mean, so you can win a lot of that performance back. You don't have to feel like you missed out on the Vcache. I'm here to tell you, just, it's not worth, okay? Heard it here first. But I just want to warn you guys, you know, these should not be this much, okay? Last little deal. Sparkle. Okay, so Sparkle released some pictures, I guess, of their B580 and B570 prices. B580 weighing in about 250 bucks. The B570 will be about 200 bucks, I'm guessing. Maybe. I don't know. He was only talking about the B580. Okay. No, there's B570. Okay. 219. Okay. So 219, 24. Like, that is so close. Why bother? What? I don't understand this. This is not. I mean, most people I know who have turned 20 bucks, they can probably get the other 30 bucks, right? I don't understand why that would be a thing. Really strange. So for those of you in the market for something around that price category, this might be decent. We don't have any benchmarks. We don't know for sure. Some of the quoted performance is around 460 Ti, which is a more expensive card. So that's good, but you get the 5000 series coming. You have what I think will be the real competitor for this is the RDNA 4, like 8800, 8700, 8600 cards probably from AMD, I think will compete with this. Some of those cards will be a little bit more expensive, but we'll see. 219 to 249, that's a really weird. This should be at least 199, so that way, and you know what, it'll probably drop in price, would be my guess. But for the performance, maybe not so bad. We'll see how driver support and stuff is. I do like their cooler here. This is kind of nice. And it's nice to look at a card that's not just a giant brick. Some of these cards, man, they're massive. They're just humongous. So 117 millimeters. Actually, it's pretty long. 315 millimeters. That's 10 millimeters longer than my 3080. I believe. No. It's just a couple of millimeters. I think my. Is that right? No, I don't think so. I think my 3080 EVGA card is 310 millimeters, 313 millimeters, something like that. So pretty similar length. So that's actually not a small card, but it's that readily fits in most of your cases. You're not going to have too much fitment problem. I don't know. Again, for the price, we don't have any benchmarks or anything. Cooler looks all right. One interesting thing I saw is if you look here, the cooler is actually passed through. The board is only back to about here. This connector here for the power, this A pin, is right at the back of the PCB. The PCB just ends right about here probably. So all of this, like, why didn't they just open this up? Why didn't they, they could have just opened that up and had that flow through, and that would have been way better cooling, but they put these bars here for whatever reason. So some air will get through that, but you could have just made a opening. I don't know. Seems kind of a weird choice. Again, pretty looking cooler, but this just is weird to me. Interesting design choice. Probably is cooled plenty well enough that it doesn't need to, but again, you left something on the table there. Intel, Sparkle. It's an Intel card, but Sparkle probably designed that cooler. So anyway, so that's interesting, and I'm guessing that all these boards will be that length. That's something that NVIDIA's been doing. Is the boards are short. They fit everything in a compact package, and then they have coolers that basically blow all the way through, which is not a bad idea. That's not a bad design, and I'm okay with that, being taken off and being the norm. What it allows to do is basically, or one thing it will help, maybe I should phrase it that way. One thing it will help is, so in a case, usually I have fans on the bottom blowing up sometimes. In cases that do that, then here's a way for the air to actually get all the way through up into the top of the case, instead of that just being like a block barricading air from bottom to top. So anyway, and that's probably something we could, I can dive into more later, but all in all, looks all right. Sparkle's been around for a very long time. Um, they made stuff. I want to say I actually had a Sparkle power supply, I think, once, long time ago. Well, man, long time ago. Anyway, so I thought that was kind of funny and interesting. Um, just from a design standpoint, the PCB just stopping there, but then they were like, "We're just going to block this off anyway." I mean, bold move, Cotton. Let's see where it goes. I guess. Anyway, all right. Well, that's it. So, guys, hope you enjoyed the kind of just a little all over the place video. Me being jealous of Pat Gelsinger getting $12 million. I mean, I could probably go and run a company in the ground too and get paid. Maybe, I don't know. Good times. Well, hope everybody has a good rest of their week and a nice weekend. And we'll look at things happening, and if there's something worth making a video out of, I think, then we'll try to make something. Anybody has any ideas or suggestions? Feel free to leave a comment. Otherwise, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.